Hollywood was under the protection of the studio, as well as the police that were on the scene, as well as the MGM car that took her home. So it was like she was just set up to fail with this one. What it is, what it ain't, it's your girl Umbrella, and I am back with another video. In today's video, we're going to go back to the Hollywood Control themed videos, and this video is going to be on Eddie Mannix, the general manager, aka the fixer at MGM Studios. If you're ready for this video, make sure that you're following along. We are at 150 subscribers, 150 plus to be exact. Thank you to everyone that is subscribed. You don't even know. If you're following my channel, then you are the realest, period. Like, you're the realest. That means you like real content. You are a real one, and you're just bomb. So I just want to say thank you for subscribing to my channel, and let's get our new goal of 200 subscribers to be a real thing, okay? So with all of that being said, we're about to jump right into this video. So Eddie Mannix, he was the general manager at MGM Studios from 1924 to 1963. He was the fixer. So when it came to celebrity scandals, when it came to celebrity pregnancies, specifically the celebrities that worked at MGM on the movies, he was the guy to go to fix said, you know, pregnancies or car accidents. He would, you know, fix it all. So I'm gonna get deeper into what exactly he did fix, and I'm also going to talk about an example of him fixing a situation that was one of the biggest Hollywood scandals of all time. I actually dived into this scandal before, so we're going to just dive a little deeper because I was excited to hear what happened in the end. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get into that later in the video, but first we're going to talk more about Eddie Mannix. So like I said, he was the fixer. So he was the general manager. His job entailed not only fixing Hollywood scandals, but making sure that MGM Studios was afloat financially. So he made sure money was flowing, money was coming in, money was going out of MGM Studios. As you can see, the title of this video, he actually has a sign on his desk that said, this is the only star at MGM is Leo the Lion. So if you're familiar with MGM, the symbol, the sign, then you know it's the famous emblem of the lion, and he's roaring, and that's what MGM is. MGM has done a lot of famous movies. A lot of the famous movies include Creed, Creed 2, Child's Play, and also Rocky 3. The Rocky series is my movies. That's like my favorite movie ever. I can honestly say that Rocky is like the best movie ever. So MGM made those 3 movies just to get y'all more familiar. Dive deeper into MGM as a whole. We're going to talk about the entire MGM Studios. So back then in the 1920s and 30s and 40s, the only studios that were out other than MGM was 20th Century Fox and Warner Brothers. So those are the only 2 studios that made films out at the time, and MGM was the biggest. So they had 176 acres of land. They had over 200 buildings, including like a dentist's office, just in case celebrities need to get their teeth fixed. They also had a barbershop. They had a hospital. They had an entire police force as well. So some of the sets that they had on this huge lot included like jungle themes, ancient civilizations, European styled lots. They also, of course, had a lot of New York style places as well, sets as well, because a lot of the gangster films were coming out around that time, and it was inspired by the producers themselves, because a lot of the producers in Hollywood at that time were Italian immigrants and Jewish people. So Jewish men, I should say. Women that were like at the higher ups in Hollywood, they were actually paid off to leave, and that's why like a lot of these studios ended up being ran by men. So when we're getting specifically into Eddie Mannix at MGM, they had stars like Judy Garland, Jean Harlow, Clark Gable, and Joan Crawford as some of their actresses and actors, if you're familiar. So what examples of things that he would do included Eddie Mannix worked with a guy named Howard Strickling, and he used to be a journalist for a newspaper, and he ended up becoming a publicist at MGM. So Eddie Mannix and Howard worked together to create and control what the media printed out about celebrities. So that included covering up situations that the celebrities got into. That included redirecting the focus of a celebrity onto another celebrity. That also included just rerouting the whole engagement of the media so that Eddie Mannix could fix up what was the problem. Like if it was a car accident, they would go, for example, they would go handle the media first and kind of redirect the energy to somebody else, and then they would go behind, Eddie Mannix would go behind the scenes and actually pay off the people from the car accident or what have you, or pay for hospital bills if somebody got injured or something like that. So that's an example of them trying to control the media. Also, a thing that Eddie Mannix did was he would read all the telegrams that would come in and out of the studio. So that included like letters that were sent to celebrities. They would open all the mail up, they would read it, and that's another way of how they controlled like scandal and what was going on behind the scenes. So if they read in a letter that, you know, someone threatened to commit suicide, if they didn't have a celebrity, then they would try to fix that before it even happened, so on and so forth. You know a little bit more about MGM and Eddie Mannix. I'm going to go back to a previous video where I talked about Patricia Douglas. Now, Patricia Douglas was an actress in Hollywood around the 1930s. She was a dancer at the time, so she was trying to get her break into Hollywood. She was young. I talked about her rape case in one of the videos where she was raped at a Hollywood party. So I'm just gonna go back because I found more information on that and how Eddie Mannix ties into this scandal. You remember the last video where I talked about her, and I'll leave the link to that video below in the description box. But basically, she was raped at a Hollywood party. She thought she was coming and auditioning for a movie, but she ended up getting raped at a Wild West themed higher up MGM executive party where a bunch of women were requested to come, including herself. She was underage at the time. She went to the party, and it was a lot of drunk men. They were already drunk because they were on a 3-day drunken bender. I guess they had some, you know, sales execs success with MGM, so they were celebrating. So they were already drunk when they got to the party, and it was over 300 men. It was over 300 cases of liquor at the party, and it was this one particular guy, David Ross, who was an exec or salesman at MGM, and he was dancing with her, and he got a little aggressive, and he was acting like a creep. So she was trying to avoid him the rest of the night, and he ended up raping her outside in a car while another man helped and held her down. So I did find out some more information. So she did end up going to a hospital. I talked about that in the last video, but apparently I was wondering why the hospital didn't like do a thorough exam on her or a rape kit on her, and apparently the hospital was an MGM hospital, so they ended up giving her a douche. So, you know, if you clean off you basically they washed all the evidence away and then told her that there wasn't no evidence. So that doesn't make any sense. So of course there's not going to be any evidence if you wash it all off. So that's why there wasn't a rape kit done, because the Hollywood was under the protection of the studio, as well as the police that were on the scene, as well as the MGM car that took her home. So it was like she was just set up to fail with this one. Like, so come to find out, of course she wasn't the only one to, she wasn't the only one to be raped in Hollywood, but she was the only one that had the guts and the gall to actually hold the studio accountable. So she went to the police, like the Los Angeles police, and she told them what happened. And apparently she talked to a district attorney that was friends with the owner of MGM, and she didn't even know. So of course they were doing whatever they could to do damage control. So when it got back to Eddie Mannix, what had happened, he was trying to dig up some dirt on her, and when he couldn't find it, he hired a private detective to dig up some dirt on Patricia Douglas, so that it made her look bad instead of the studio, like her allegations towards the studio. And they couldn't find any. So once they couldn't find any, they talked to a lot of girls that were at the party, and they demanded and encouraged the girls to talk bad about her, saying that she was a drunk and all of this other stuff. And Patricia, she didn't even drink at all, so it was crazy. She ended up picking David Ross out of a lineup, and they did actually have a whole, federal court jury, judge situation. And they were just trying to, defile her character and say that, she was asking for it and all of this other stuff, actually in court, because men could do that. Wasn't indicted on any charges in front of the grand jury. So she did file a civil suit against the film industry. And in the article I read, it says that she filed against MGM for unlawful conspiracy to defile and seduce her and other dancers for the immoral and sensual gratification of male guests. So it was dismissed in 1938 after it was being dragged along. And then she refiled a federal case, but her lawyer didn't appear in court. And he didn't show up to defend her in court, so it was dismissed again. So it's like after she tried and tried and tried, she never really got them to be accountable for her rape. And after that, they did whatever they could to erase her from MGM completely. So for decades, no one knew her story, no one knew who she was, no one knew what happened, until an article came out in Vanity Fair, and then boom. And then it hit the internet, and now I know about it, so I can tell y'all about it. So I just am glad that I found out about this story, because it does need to be told. And apparently years later, after Eddie found out, he said, oh, we had her killed. Like, basically saying, like, we didn't kill her for real, like in the physical sense, we killed her character. Like, we like, she had to live with the fact that, she suffered trauma because of the studio, and nothing happened because of it. And he's wrong, like, he's wrong as hell. People did find out about what happened to her, and I feel like people are way more enlightened about Hollywood, and we know now that all that glitter really ain't gold now. Like, I feel like it was easy to fool people in the past, but we ain't no fools now. So I feel like it's important to be aware of Hollywood and, the media and whatever's going on. I'm intrigued to hear y'all point of view. Make sure that you comment below and let me know what's good. I hope that you guys really like this video. I will be coming back to back with more videos. Make sure you subscribe. Turn your bell notifications on so you know when I'm posting a video, because it's going down, okay? So I will see you guys in the next video.